there's been several different definitions of terrorism. One is any action that can intimidate the government. Another one is anything that can hurt anybody. Section 802 of the first Patriot Act says any action that endangers human life and is a violation of any federal or state law. Okay? And there's pages of these new definitions. It's everything. It's anything. And we've got to go into this full throttle. We've got to resist it because they cannot stand this military-industrial complex coup. It's been a long time coming. They decided they want it all now. They can't stand if you stand against them. Your neighbor's a cop wearing that black ski mask. I mean, give me a break. You've got to give him or her information every day. You've got to show them how their kids are being enslaved. And when they suck their pension funds dry, which they're already doing, walk up and give them the World Bank documents that Greg Pallas brought out and go, here's their actual plan to take your pension fund, to cause riots, to set up military dictatorships. Joseph Stiglitz, the chief economist of the World Bank, quit over this and released these documents. We need more and more good people in and out of government at every level to blow the whistle, because there's nothing like it on earth to stand up against dehumanization, to follow our ingrained programming to resist tyranny. The scum running this country is going to set up a hell on earth. It is going to get as bad as you can imagine if you're going to let them. That's the nature of tyranny. That's the nature of the enforcers that tyrants have to hire. They always set up their own little local empires. Somebody wants your wife. Somebody wants your husband. Somebody wants your business. You're a competitor. Where'd Bob go? He disappeared. Oh, we better not talk about it because the subsections of the new Patriot Act say if you tell anybody you saw the men in black uniforms grab Bob, you get life in prison or secret execution. That's right. Secret execution. It's all in here. Now, if we tell this story and if we get the word out and if we educate people, there's no way they can get away with it. And the speakers have mentioned polarization. Exactly. That's what's killing us. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm a constitutionalist. I'm an American. I'm a freedom lover. And if I'm going to be free, that means you've got to be free. And it just continually goes back to that central point. You know, when I was exposing Bill Clinton as a New World Order shill, I was an ultra-right-wing, conspiracy theorist. When I exposed Bush, I'm a communist. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, and this is what they're using to destroy us. So, listen to me. Please research what's happening. They've got bills for national drafts for men and women, and you'll be serving here at home digging ditches. I've read the programs. Tattletale programs where they blow the economy out. You'll have to go to federal retraining. They're going to give you an ID card like Argentina and put your cash credits on it each month. You want slavery, folks? A shaved head, THX 1138. It makes Brave New World look like a picnic. So please fight these pieces of trash as hard as you can. Have no fear. These people must be resisted. God bless you.
In fact, here is an article out of the Huron Daily Tribune up in Michigan. And it says that citizens become very frightened of the United States government. And it goes on to say one particular concern is Section 802, which states that any crime that endangers human life and violates federal law could be declared an act of terrorism. And this is one of my radio listeners getting involved in the fight, and I commend these citizens who are concerned. Even conservatives in Salt Lake City, Capitol rally slams Patriot Act as contrary to the Constitution. So they're in trouble. The left and right are waking up. And more cities are passing this. It's very exciting. I interviewed the president of the Seattle City Council, and he said that this was Nazi Germany. He said that they're all very concerned. And they're concerned because Democrats are supporting this bill and have introduced the Senate version of the second Patriot Act. And hey, that's the point about tyranny. If they can get away with Patriot Act 1, that's bad enough. I mean, Hitler could have done everything he did with Patriot Act 1. So could have Stalin. Now Patriot Act 2 is just insanely tyrannical. As we say, total enslavement. And on top of this, they have new bills like S-89 for compulsory national service, not just in the military, but in Homeland Security. And another thing that Homeland Security is doing, this new giant federal bureaucracy taking over the entire government, is that it's now taking over cities. And they're already taking the cities over before the bills have even passed. S-45 in the Senate states in Section 1 that the Office of State and Local Government Coordination for Homeland Security will no longer just oversee, but that now local cities' critical functions will be headed by a federal director. On Tuesday, February 11th, we noted a story in the Times-Picayune, the big daily paper in New Orleans, that the mayor announced a major overhaul of the city. New Homeland Security office to oversee Cops, Firemen, Emergency Agency. 33 city agencies. The federal power grab taking place is widespread, and all Americans must mobilize to resist it. Think about that. They're already taking the cities over before they even pass the law, S-45. I mean, this, and by the way, guess who runs Homeland Security? A merger of FBI and the CIA. The drug-dealing torture masters of the CIA to run this. And they've introduced bills for a national draft. What are bookstores doing? They're having to purge their files to avoid searches because the government's tying into their computers and downloading what books you read. But remember, the border stays wide open, and remember who's financed all the terrorists. Senate panels are coming out and saying, oh, we're warning against secret police, but then voting for secret police. So they'll come out and say it's bad, but then vote for it. So you hear on the news that they're standing up for your rights so you don't get involved. It's all military tactics to neutralize you so you don't get involved in the process. You know, not only have they announced that Mossad can kill American citizens in America, they're now saying that the CIA can kill citizens who aid Al-Qaeda. Bush doesn't exempt Americans. Without a jury, without a trial, without an arrest, without charges, they just kill you. It's just a murder in the newspaper. And they're saying this? They're saying this? And a lot of you are going, whoa, I better shut up then. No. If you put up with this, they're going to take everything you got, your pension funds, your jobs. The new economy is surveillance and prisons. The military-industrial complex just decided, hey, why not overthrow America? Why not have a sophisticated coup using the media in Madison Avenue? If we don't stand up and say no to this in large numbers, whether you serve them or fight them, you're going to be abused. You cannot sign your children over. You cannot commit them to a life of living hell.
You fools, you're in danger! Can't you see? They're after you! They're after all of us! Our wives, our children, everyone! You're next! You're next! You're next!
Most people in government are good, lower down in the pyramidal structure. But as you get up into the higher levels, you have these globalists writing the policy for your state and local governments, for your police, for your military, slowly twisting their minds, legitimizing torture, legitimizing every form of corruption imaginable.
Next thing they'll be breeding us like cattle for food. You gotta tell them. You gotta tell them.
We must stand up against it. CIA can kill citizens who aid Al-Qaeda. Bush doesn't exempt Americans. Al-Qaeda's a CIA creation. Here's that media advisory, muted response to Ashcroft's sneak attack on liberties. And it says, despite the draft legislation's authoritarian provisions, including one that would empower the government to strip Americans of their citizenship if they participate in lawful activities of any group that the Attorney General labels terrorists. See, this is just no judge, no jury, they just say it. Mainstream U.S. media has responded with only a handful of stories. This is frightening. And here's the report about the city council announces major overhaul of City Hall. And it says the federal government is taking over the city. So the states are mimicking the new federal powers. In Wisconsin, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel reported, Stephen Megritz, it says he sued and deposed public officials. This is not going to be tolerated. This is paper terrorism. And they got him before a kangaroo court because he sued public officials. He's going to get 5 years in prison. The prosecutors tried to get 15 to life. So now the definition of terrorism is mushrooming, but you're thinking, oh, well, that's just Wisconsin. In Oregon, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee in their legislature, a Senator Menace, Menace to Liberty, he's the chairman of the committee. This thing has a good chance of passing, relating to terrorism, creating new provisions and amending Section 19, Chapter 666 of Oregon Code. Section 1A, they commit the crime of terrorism if the person knowingly plans, participates in or carries out any act that is intended by at least one of its participants to disrupt. So, a whole group becomes terrorist and gets life in prison if one person, one of its participants, carries out actions that are intended to disrupt. Now, here's the actions that everybody gets life in prison if one person carries it out. A, the free and orderly assembly of the inhabitants of the state of Oregon. B, commerce or the transportation system of the state of Oregon. Or C, the educational or governmental institutions of the state of Oregon or its inhabitants. You block a road, you block a street, you throw an egg, you have a car wreck and block the road. It says it. You get life in prison.